Hey everyone, thanks for signing up or signing in. I will move that camera over slightly. I'm going to be carrying the camera around because Dave's not here tonight. So I'll move around and zoom in and all that sort of stuff for you. Bill's got an assortment of rifles here, shotguns, and he's just going to go through some different advances, innovations, designs of particular firearms.
And how they lock up, maybe. Lead direction, lead direction, lead direction. And they're all different.
Yeah, I was at 94, 92. That sort of thing.
94, 92.
Alright,
Good
I'll
old
go around and grab that camera. Plenty of people here already. Hey Steph.
Who's there?
Scoop, Steph's there, Scoops is there, he's just had some dental work done. So he's probably out of it a bit.
Quite Mel.
Yeah.
Loosen a few up. Gave you a shit mixer.
Poor old Scoop. Yeah, well, tonight, are we on?
We are on, sorry, I'm just grabbing the
Tonight I'm
phone.
just going to show you a few important things in firearms that stop that somewhere between 30,000 psi and 55,000 psi coming out and hitting you in the head. Because it's pretty important that the actions lock up properly when you...
Girls.
Girls. Just girls, yeah, I suppose, yeah. But anyway, I'm pretty keen on keeping all my faculties and my brain especially, you know, it's a big help.
Well, when you don't have much to begin with, you want to keep all of it.
That's
to
right,
keep.
when you haven't got much to start with, you've got to hang on to every last molecule.
Yeah.
But we'll start with probably the oldest design. Beg your pardon, the oldest design. It's a Model 92, the oldest design I've got here, folks. Not the oldest design ever made, but it's an old...
So how does the whole gun work?
It has a lever that's pivoted on a funny piece of, on a slotted hole on a couple of sliding blocks. Now these sliding blocks are what they call mortised into the side of onto the inside of the action, and when the bolt is fully forward, they come up and actually fit into two slots that are in the bolt. So the bolt is now fixed in the forward position. It can't
So
move
the
backwards.
bolt moves back and forth,
Yep.
and as it moves forward, it peels around off the carrier,
That's
puts
right.
it in the barrel, and then to stop the bolt coming out, you have those two blocks
that come up, and they're locked between the sides of the action and the tail of the block, the tail of the bolt. In that action, of course, it cocks the hammer at the same time. Throws the empty out as you go forward, picks a new one up, and then the blocks come up and lock the bolt in place.
So who designed that?
John Browning.
In what year?
1890. This came out, this was called an 1892 model. He probably designed it in about 1890. He had...
Were there predecessors to this?
It was. The 1873 was similar.
How'd the 1873 lock up though?
I believe it locked up the same. I can't remember off the
I
top.
thought it had a toggle system.
Yeah, the 66 had a toggle system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that the 92 was like a smaller version of the 76.
Well, look, the 73 had that pissy little bolt that come forward and
I can't remember. I'm not a Winchester.
and then the follower, that big block came up and it pushed it out of the...
pushed it through the block.
I'm not a big fan of Browning either.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, not me. But that's how it locked up. So that was a good design.
Too right it was.
Any drawbacks to it?
Yeah, in that the lockup is at the back, but it was never made for high pressure cartridges. It was only made for 3220, 4440, 2520. The little short cartridges could also be
Black powder
a
cartridges.
handgun, and they were all black powder originally. Yeah. So it wasn't a high pressure gun. But then very soon after it, 1894, this model of Winchester came out. It was much stronger, thicker walls. It actually had it worked on the same principle. Throwing the lever forward, pushed the bolt back, cocked the hammer, lifted the cartridge up into line with the chamber, and when you cranked it forward, it put the cartridge in the chamber, and instead of having 2 blocks in the side, they've got a big block behind the bolt, and it actually carries a little short, like a relay pin, and until that's in place, even if the hammer falls, it can't hit the firing pin, because that's a relay that goes between the hammer and the firing pin.
And it hits the firing pin, and then the firing pin sets around off.
Yeah. And this was made for heavier cartridges.
I thought you'd have a 303 out here, Bill.
My God, I've forgotten the most important bloody one of the whole lot. We can fix that in about 5
Just
seconds.
talking about rear locking piece of shit, that's all.
Yeah, I should have one
Sec.
because it is rear locking. Now, along the way, there are other manufacturers doing lots of things, and other designers doing lots of things too. And this is a Remington Model 14, I believe. I had it on here somewhere.
It certainly looks like a Model 14 and a half, or whatever the fuck they were.
Model 14, I'm pretty sure.
14?
Yeah, 14.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
it's
in
not
32.
the... Yeah, it's not the...
Not a 44. Yeah, this is 32 Winchester centerfire. It has a, this is the pump action or slide action or trombone action, whatever you like to call it. It has a bolt carrier and a cam on the bolt carrier. When it moves to the forward position to chamber around, the bolt actually tips up and locks up in the there's a lug that comes up and locks up in the underneath part of the front of the receiver.
In the top of the receiver.
Yeah.
Yep. And then when you pull the bolt, it drops. Well, it can't drop down out of the way
No.
because the carrier's in the way. So you push
Carries
that
in the
button.
way. Yeah, until you press a little lever here. If you want, when you fire it, it'll open. But if you want to open it when it's cocked, you just press a little catch in there, and it'll slide open.
Bolt drops down out of the way, so
Yeah.
it locks up in the top of the receiver.
Yeah, there's a slot.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get that. You can sort of see that slot that's up in the top of the receiver there.
Yeah. In there. But
So it's a tipping bolt design.
a tipping bolt, and it tips up at the front.
That's quite clever.
Yeah. A bloke named Peterson designed that, and he designed quite a few things for Remington.
So who else uses that kind of system?
There's quite a few manufacturers use a tipping bolt idea.
Yeah.
The FN SLR used a tipping bolt,
But they tip down at the back,
they
don't
tipped
they?
down at the back. They had the same thing. They had a bolt carrier. They operated on gas, of course, with a rod to operate them, and a return spring that pushed the carrier forward, and it carried the bolt with it. And when the carrier reached the end of its travel, a cam on the carrier tipped the rear of the bolt down, locked it into a recess in the bottom of the action. The Czechoslovakians made a semi-automatic
FN 49 or whatever it was, or
52, model
52?
52, and it had a tipping bolt in it. It was operated a little bit differently. Same thing, carrier.
it went forward and dropped down at the front, though, didn't it? Yeah.
Two little lugs dropped down at the front, and it was on a 7.62 by 42 case. It was a bit.
Oh, that short.
Yeah, it was longer than the 39, of course, because
Yep.
the Czechs didn't like the Russians very much, so they had to make something on their own. And another much more modern lever action is this Model 96 Ruger. This one's in 22 Magnum, I believe. No, 22 LR.
There's one out the back in 44 Mag, though.
Is it? And this uses a tipping bolt design as well. Similar idea to the Remington, but they tip the back of the bolt up. And if you can see, as I close the lever, the back of the bolt lifts up into a recess in the top of the receiver.
But surely, well, I mean, is there an advantage of one over the other? I would have thought that one locking up at the front would be stronger, as opposed to that one.
Yeah, would be. Because you haven't got compression or stretch, you know. Like, I know it's only minute, but compression of the bolt in high pressure cartridges especially, and stretching of the action in a high pressure cartridge. It really doesn't matter on the Ruger because it's only 22 LR. You know, a very tiny base and relatively low pressure. Even though the action's made out of aluminium, the locking recess has got a steel plate in it, so it's not actually locking up steel to aluminium, it's locking up steel to steel.
Yeah.
The bolt is locking up against the steel plate. Steel plate, sorry.
So we went from lever action lockups to tipping bolt styles, but then obviously pressures were creeping up and whatnot. And
another. This is a
7600.
A Remington 7600. Another Remington, and they're still using.
He might be a little bit hard to see because of that the dust cover.
Dust cover here. I'll pull it back out of the way. But as you can see the lug on the front of the bolt, it has a rotating bolt head. As it goes forward, the carrier rotates the bolt head and locks it up in a extension that's part of the barrel. In this case, it's actually two different pieces, but the original barrels have got the lock-up extension on the barrel itself.
So the bolt actually goes forward and rotates like a conventional. Like a conventional bolt, but it's all done with the...
Like a bolt with a handle on it.
Yeah, but it's all done with the straight movement of the pump.
Yeah, done with the straight movement of the pump, but it has a carrier that has got opposing cam slots in the bolt body, and the carrier has two pins in it that run in those cams. And so when the carrier reaches the end of its travel, or when the bolt reaches the end of its travel, and the carrier moves forward.
The bolt head stops,
the bolt head stops, the carrier rotates the bolt into battery. And therefore, and that's in 308, so it's holding in around about 50,000 PSI, so it's a very strong action, no doubt about that. The same style of thing is used in a lot of shotguns, semi-autos and pumps and so on. And this one is a Winchester
1200 or something.
Model 1200, pump action. You can see the bolt head sticks out a long way from the carrier, and it's very similar. It has a cammed slot in the bolt head back inside the carrier, and when the bolt reaches the end of its travel up against the back of the case, the carrier carries on and rotates the bolt into battery. The same style of thing.
Yeah, we can see it unlocking.
Yeah, you probably won't see it locking.
A bit too quick, but that's okay.
Yeah, but you can see the system that it's got. A very strong system. Once it's locked up, and until you fire it, it's locked. You can't open it unless you press the little release button on the back of the trigger. Open it. Another system that's popular in shotguns is a bolt. This is out of an Adler.
Oh, this will be a much better indication of how these things work.
Yeah.
You take it out of the gun.
Yeah. What they have they have a barrel with a barrel extension, and inside the barrel extension, which acts as a guide for the bolt, but it's also got the recess for the lug to lock up into. So, and this is the system. This is the bolt. This is the bolt carrier. The bolt sits on top of the bolt carrier, and it travels in in that area there on the bolt, on the barrel extension. When the bolt carrier moves forward, it lifts.
This is obviously out of a straight pull because you can see that it's got where the bolt handle would be on the side.
That's right. Bolt handle would be through here.
Yeah.
But
that arm and everything's the same as the lever action and...
Yeah, and...
well, no, the lever action doesn't have that centerpiece.
No.
But, yeah.
Lever action has these guides. So what happens is the spring pressure is pushing on the carrier, pushes it forward. The bolt hits the surface of the back of the case. The bolt carrier carries on and lifts the lock-up lug into its recess in the extension. Simple and very effective, good area.
I pushed a button.
Eh?
So I just pushed a button. It's okay.
And that system is used in quite a lot of shotguns. Not only in a lot of European guns, American guns quite often go for this rotating bolt idea. Don't ask me why. It's no better or worse. And something in shotgun wise, see how a little old gun like this locks up. With not much. It has a curved section there, and this lever on the side has a curved piece a cam that folds into there. So when you shut it, it pushes it out of the way for a start, and then the lever drops the cam into that rounded section.
Yeah, so the lug on the barrel drops down into the action, and then the lever, it works as an interrupter to stop it from opening up again. Yeah. Just push the lever. Yeah. And there's that leaf spring that...
yeah, the little leaf spring
that is actuating it.
Yeah, that returns it. And so when you shut it, this lug here goes down into that slot, pushes the lever or the cam out of the way until it's in battery, and then the cam drops back into place and it can't unlock.
Beautiful.
Simple. Yeah.
Well, Browning BLR, I don't have one here, but Browning BLR, they're rotating bolt head.
Rotating bolt head.
And that's why they can handle pressures like 2, 4, 3 and stuff like that, as opposed to most other lever actions which don't have a strong enough lock-up system to be able to shoot the high-powered cartridges.
Right, there's not many. There was, like the Winchester made a Model 88 and a Model 100. They were both, the Model 88 was a lever action in 243 and 308, and the Model 100 was in semi-auto in 243 and 308, and both of them had rotating bolt heads.
As well, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were short-lived. Another one of Winchester's fabulous bloody ideas. But then the more modern iteration of a good rifle has really gone to bolt actions, and as I was showing,
as far as strength's concerned, it's certainly
the strength. This is a
Sako
A2, is it? Yeah, A2 Sako would be in 243 22 to 50 or something. What are we looking at? Made in Finland. 22 to 50. And fairly typical of Europeans, a very dainty action. Sako make about 5 different action sizes for the different size calibers. Really.
So A2, what sort of vintage would this have been, manufacture-wise?
1980s, early 80s, very early 80s.
Because you can still see they use, all the modern Sakos have got a 3-lug bolt design.
That's right.
Whereas that's got a 2-lug bolt design.
Yep.
And it's got rotating guide.
Rib, yeah. They use
which is a carryover from the old Mausers.
Sort of, yeah. It acts as a guide where in the old Mauser the extractor acts as a guide.
Yeah.
They call it a non-rotating bloody extractor. This is being built with modern steels and modern techniques, they've done away with the safety lug on their rifles, probably to no detriment, because most of the rifles, the bolt handle locks down into a slot in the action anyway. So if you did have a case failure or something
Catastrophic failure of some sort.
Catastrophic failure of some kind, it'd be very unlikely that this bolt would come out of here. I do believe that the bolt handles are, well, maybe not. I thought the bolt shroud and bolt handle was the silver solder on, but it looks like it's one piece.
Remingtons they are, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure on Sako's it's all one piece.
One piece, yeah.
Because I think they were mostly all, were they all hammer forged or machined?
They would be forged and then machined, yeah.
Yeah.
And here we've got one of the poorer examples of bloody
Roy Weatherby would get up and fucking thong you, Bill.
when Weatherby decided to design his own rifle after he'd wrecked about 5,000 bloody Mausers trying to develop,
Blowing them up.
blowing them up,
Making his wildcats.
making all these wildcat calibers that became run-of-the-mill things. He designed what's called a fat bolt design, but rather than having just 3 lugs on the end, he's got 9 small lugs, but they have actually more shear area than a 2-lug design. So it's a very safe design. He designed it to be able to shoot cartridges that had normal operating pressures of around 60,000 psi. So it's probably good for 80 or 90,000 psi easily, I would imagine. And he made a small version of this. This is for his Magnum cases. He made a small version with a 6-lug design, just for the run-of-the-mill 308s, 243s, and so on. And he's smaller. Does he use it on his smaller cases like the 240?
So originally the 240 was on the big action, but nowadays it's on the small. It's on the ultra lightweight action. So, but the other thing about this one is that the bolt and the lugs on the bolt are the same diameter.
Yeah.
It's what they call a fat bolt
That's
design.
what I said, it was a fat bolt design.
Which means you can drill. You don't have to slot the action for the locking lugs.
The locking lugs, yeah. It
Makes a much smoother action.
has a guide of some kind. In this case, a peg that comes up underneath that guides the bolt and stops it rotating until you reach the end of its travel and you can rotate the bolt. Whereas with the Mauser 2-lug front lug design, the action has to be slotted. There's a hole drilled down for the bolt body to go through, but it has to have 2 slots cut, machined in the slot.
Through the full length of the action.
Full length of the action to accommodate the slots. There are other actions that use the fat bolt design. An old action that has used it for years was the Australian-made Omar. That used a 3-lug bolt and the fat bolt design.
I think it was Schultz and Larson or something, or
Larson actually used.
they had a rear locking.
Similar to this, but rear locking. I think
Yeah,
they had a 6-lug
yeah.
rear locking bolt.
Apparently they were quite prone to getting a bit of shit in there.
Wouldn't surprise.
You get one bit of shit on one of the lugs, and one lug takes all the pressure,
Yeah.
and it just breaks the lugs off.
Yeah. But funnily enough, Schultz and Larson, or I can't remember, what was it called? 7x67 Schultz and Larson. The guy that designed it anyway, he got Schultz and Larson to make the rifles. He designed the cartridges, and they were hot rod cartridges in their time. Like I can remember them in the late 60s. 7x61 was a really flat out bloody cartridge. Pretty smart.
So what else is sort of modern actions? Maybe something that you don't have here. What other modern designs are there? Like the Blazer?
Yeah, that's right. Blaser uses like a set of spring fingers, almost you'd call them, where when you push the bolt into battery, does it spring them open and lock them up in the recess?
So they spring back inside the bolt. Not. It's like having like a heap of these, yeah.
Yeah.
So the bolt hits the barrel, and then that last bit of movement, you have like a heap of these things come out on a
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, and lock up in the side of
All the way around the bolt head.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Again, quite strong.
About a Browning morale.
Or a Henry. Or a Marlin. Marlin's like the 1894, but you just can't see the big...
Yeah, it's got a great big lug that comes up underneath the bolt and locks into a recess in the bottom of the bolt.
Yeah.
Similar idea to the 94, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's concealed inside the gun.
What about a Henry? What are they based off?
Which Henry?
They're a rip-off of, I'm not sure, like the Golden Boy type thing.
Oh, no.
They're a rip-off of like Irmas and shit, aren't they?
That is. It was an Irma once upon a time. It was probably an American design being made in Germany.
My battery's down to 13%, by the way. But yeah.
That doesn't give us very long, does it?
No.
What about the, going back to the Marlins, what about the 336? How does that lock up?
That's the one.
That's what we're talking about.
It has a big block that comes up
So you
underneath.
talk about 1894.
No, the 336 is like the Winchester 94.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that's what I meant.
Right.
Like in Winchester 94, there's one great big block that comes up and locks the bolt
Done gun.
from behind. It just comes up behind the bolt.
I really don't care as long as I can sell the fucking things, doesn't bother me.
Yeah. But the 336 has a big block that is on the last movement of the lever. As you shut the lever, it pushes this block up into a recess in the bottom of the bolt. It runs in slots in the action, so it can't move.
Cool. Just going to slide this back in here so me and Trent can get stuck into our side of things.
What did we decide on tonight? What are we talking about?
Well, we're going to talk about barrel steels for sure. What's the cannon second from the top?
So 6.5.
6.5284 on a Stolly action with a Lilja barrel in a Macmillan stock.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, some of the more modern guns have got delayed blowback systems like the H&Ks and stuff, and they have serrated chambers to slow down the extraction and injection. So there's a few other things out there, but Bill's given you the basic gist of firearm designs over the last 130 years.
Got to start running these back out the back.
Oh, yeah.
But there's still plenty of room for new advances and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I've already mentioned that I'm going to be talking about barrel steels tonight because we got a question during the week about chrome moly and stainless steel barrels and what's the actual difference. Now obviously chrome moly barrels, or maybe not obviously, chrome moly barrels are made from steel that is slightly different to a stainless steel barrel. Stainless steel barrels are not made from stainless steel, not true stainless steel anyway. They're actually made from a high carbon steel, not high carbon, but a carbon steel similar to 4140. The only difference is that stainless steel is actually made with a combination of a fair bit more nickel and chrome in the steel, and that prevents stainless steel barrels from taking the blue finish that you see on blued guns, or brown guns in that stage, because browning predated bluing. So we had a question about what is the actual difference between the two as far as performance and that sort of stuff for the average shooter or the target shooter or whatever it is. And so I thought that I'd better talk to someone who knows a lot more about these things than what I do, and that would be Tony from TSE Engineering, who makes barrels for a living. So he's the perfect person to talk to. So I gave him a ring, I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday. We spoke to him about it. And as I got the words out of my mouth, he already knew exactly what I was asking because he probably gets asked it a lot. And also he's extremely well, very highly knowledgeable in the topic. Yeah. So he actually gets all his steel from America. He gets it from the same steel mills that supply barrel steel to all the big barrel manufacturers in America. So the barrel steel is actually identical to American barrel steel. So, which I was quite surprised about because the Yanks would, obviously sell them on the idea that they're using American steel when we're using the same thing. So
it's really no reason now not to buy Australian-made.
Well, there's a lot of reasons to buy Australian-made barrels. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into it in regards to the prep and the machines that are used and the process that's used to manufacture barrels. And that's why I use TSC barrels, because there's other barrel manufacturers in Australia whose product I don't like as much as TSC's. I mean, there's a lot of good barrel manufacturers out there. I like TSC barrels the best because he makes them in a way, in a theology that I subscribe to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we both subscribe to the same ideas about what makes a good barrel. Anyway, so he did say that the biggest difference between stainless steel barrels and Chrome Moly barrels is the structure of the steel. So on a stainless steel barrel, the structure of the steel under a microscope is much, much finer than a Chrome Moly barrel. And so what that means for the average shooter is that the stainless steel barrels don't foul up as much, okay? Because the finish is much finer in them. I mean, they're both hand lapped. So with a TSC barrel, all these stainless steel barrels are lapped. All the Chrome Moly barrels that we order are lapped. You don't have to get them lapped, but I don't see any reason why not. So all the barrels that come from TSC are all hand lapped. But even though they're hand lapped to the same finish internally, the stainless steel barrel, the grain is still just a lot finer. And so you get less build up with carbon deposits as well as copper deposits in the barrel, which means if the barrel fouls up quicker, you're going to lose accuracy quicker. It also means the more abrasion in the barrel, because you're dropping more contaminants in there. Thank you. It means the barrel's going to wear out quicker. And how much though? The difference in the wear between the two barrels though isn't reflected by the price, you know what I'm saying? Like Chrome Moly barrels are cheaper than stainless steel barrels because Chrome Moly steel is cheaper than stainless steel. But the Chrome Moly, so the stainless steel doesn't outlast the Chrome Moly barrels enough to make up the difference in price, you know what I'm saying? If you put Chrome Moly barrels in your gun, they won't last as long, but they're cheaper. You'll actually end up in front, is how he described it to me. So the difference isn't that critical, yeah? It's not a huge difference. It's not like it's, 2,000 rounds, like 40% of the barrel or something
So far, there's not a game changer there.
No.
You're not going to pick one over the other because of one of the reasons that you've just come up with.
You would if you're a target shooter. So with the build-up of crap in the barrel, it becomes very pronounced if you shoot longer strings of shots between cleaning, but also in a short period of time. So if you're shooting 1 or 2 rounds and then the barrel's allowed to cool down, when you're shooting roos or foxes then the difference isn't as dramatic as if you're shooting 10 rounds in a string. So if you're shooting a match where you're shooting 10 rounds in quick succession, stainless steel barrel is going to fare much better.
Yeah, okay.
So because you're not going to get as much build up in there, and it would be a better product for you.
Yeah, okay.
As far as performance, accuracy, and that sort of stuff is concerned. So if you're a bench shooter, if you shoot bench rest or F-class or something like that, then there still is an advantage to go into a stainless steel barrel. Obviously, stainless steel also slightly better as far as rust preventative. Now, both of them will rust because stainless steel is not the barrels that are made out of stainless steel. The stainless steel isn't true stainless steel. It's not non-magnetic. A magnet will still stick to it. So it's not stainless in that sense, but it is slightly better on rust and corrosion than a Chrome Moly barrel. But also nowadays you can just get either of them Cerakoted and eliminates
That
that.
fixes
But
the
generally speaking, if you've got a blue barrel and you've got your hand on it, within 24 hours, if it's wet and moist and that sort of stuff, within 24 hours you'll see fingerprint rust marks and that sort of stuff on there that you need to get rid of pretty quick, especially if you're hunting northern Queensland or something like that.
There's nothing like a moist barrel.
Moist hand on your barrel.
Moist. Just for the people out there that like that word, moist.
So that's the main differences. Obviously stainless steel doesn't rust as bad, but it still will rust, so you need to prep it the same. So they were the main things.
You take a stainless steel on a boat, for instance, to shoot the odd shark.
Yeah, if you're shooting sharks, then yeah,
It'll rust.
It'll but it'll last longer than a blue gun.
Yeah, that's right.
So one of the other things that he did mention, though.
Please don't go on a fucking boat and shoot sharks.
Well, if you're on a boat and you've got sharks hanging around you,
Like, you don't have to bring them on the boat. That's
no,
the
but if
best
you
thing
want to
about
get into
sharks.
the water, well, maybe you're already in the water.
Maybe what you do is you don't go swimming where there's sharks.
Yeah, okay. Some divers don't have I mean, that's their job.
Yeah, but then you don't swim around with a shotgun either, do you?
No, 308.
Don't work underwater that well.
Oh, it worked good enough.
I don't reckon you'd want to be under it when you pulled the fucking trigger.
No, you'd probably black out. So one thing he did mention, though, is that in the tests that were done with stainless and blue barrels in a military sense, that at very low temperatures, so we're talking 40 below or more, and that's Fahrenheit or Celsius, stainless steel barrels actually became very brittle. The structure of the steel became very brittle, to the point that they would actually fail when you shot them.
Yeah, right.
So the armies, for that reason, armies don't use stainless steel barrels at all, for that reason. So, which I thought was quite interesting. I mean, it's not like you're not going to get to that temperature anywhere in Australia. You'd have to go like in Siberia or something silly in the Arctic Circle to get something that low.
Which makes it quite a, quite a difference in a step from what you talked about before. Because if you're sitting behind, a 249 or something like that that's pumping out a lot of rounds quickly, you'd want a stainless barrel for that heat.
But what they do, they chrome line them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All AK barrels are chrome line.
Get into that, Bill. Jeez.
Okay? And I got a feeling the SLR barrel was chrome line.
Could have
The
been.
original.
I know the Omar barrels, a lot of those were chrome line,
Yeah.
so we had the technology and everything to do it. So.
That's right.
But the other thing to consider is that if you've got a stainless steel barrel, from the factory, in a factory gun.
That's right, Scoops. We just won't fight a war in Siberia.
Yeah.
No, good idea.
If you're too fucking cold.
Yeah.
leave it there.
That's right. They can just have it.
The Russians can have it.
Yeah.
too.
Fuck the Russians.
If you've got a stainless steel barrel, you've probably got a stainless steel action, if you're buying it from the factory.
Yeah.
So,
Other than Kimber.
other than Kimber. The downside of it, and probably the reason why partially why Kimber do a blue action with a stainless barrel, is because the stainless actions, you can't make them as hard. Because the Chrome Moly steel is a better steel for getting them hard, as in surface hardness and that sort of stuff.
More carbon in it.
Yeah. So they can be hardened to a hard thing. So the downside of that is that if you've got a stainless steel action that's not quite as hard, and also stainless on stainless rubbing tends to gall. So you end up with, it wears more and the lugs are more likely to gall. If you have a tight round or something like that, you're more likely to fuck the action.
No.
So there's a lot of, there's actually some advantages to blue. And the last thing that I'll say on it is also the blue finish, like a proper gloss, hand polished blue finish is really, you can't replicate that in other finishing methods,
No.
It's
You can't Cerakote that.
no, if you want a nice, good, deep blue with some luster to it and everything, you have to Chrome Moly and you have to hand polish it to a very fine finish, and you'll get the most beautiful finish on the gun.
And Zaine loves doing that hand
I
polish.
fucking hate it. I love the finish, but I hate doing it.
Because he's going to polish that 7mm barrel for me, eh?
Is he?
Fuck off,
Yeah,
man.
he said he was going
No,
to.
it's getting sandblasted.
He said he was going to polish
Yeah.
it, and he was also going to do the muzzle brake as well.
No,
He's looking forward
it's
to it.
getting-
He was smiled the
It's
whole
getting
time.
sandblasted, and then you can take it up to Tomo to get him to bloody Cerakote it.
No, just polish it for me.
No, it's getting sandblasted.
Just do it.
You're going to polish it, you can fucking polish it
No, just
yourself.
polish it. I
I'm
know
not going
you
to.
like doing it. You told me.
Fuck you.
No.
Fuck your blue finish. Gloss finish.
No, Nathan, no, we're talking about real soldiers, mate, not the Canadian Rangers. They're not real soldiers if they use tickers, mate.
Yeah,
Sorry for any Canadian Ranger out there, but they'll probably all
let's
be.
keep moving because the battery's dying.
They'll probably all be in their igloos anyway.
So yeah, there's certain benefits and disadvantages to stainless steel. Basically, if you're a bench shooter, if you're a range shooter, use stainless steel.
Yep.
Otherwise, Chrome Moly is a good option.
Yeah.
It's not really important unless you're a bench shooter.
Yep.
So there you go.
Cool.
What else are we talking about today?
Don't know.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I've got a fucking board here and wrote everything on there for you. Why she wrote, I wrote
nieces
all of it
are
on
watching.
No, you didn't.
You came up with fuck all. What did you come up with?
Hey, your nieces are watching.
Oh, yeah, your nieces.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so shut up.
sorry.
Stop being you.
Hey Bill. Hey Tovey.
Hard work sometimes.
Well, you're hard.
No, well, we're running out of battery, so what do you want to talk about? Oh, well, geez, we can't pick anything too long. Because your battery's nearly dead.
Well, find something. Just stand there and fucking humpty dumpty.
Says the guy that wasn't here all day and went home and had a sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Tintaro says, "What's the matter with Ticker?"
What's the matter with Dick, eh? What's the matter? Nothing, unless you're fighting a war. If you're going up against the Germans or whoever, and you've got a ticker,
That was like,
you're not going to win. Simple.
I wouldn't say that.
No.
I would.
Because
I would highly.
the Germans don't really have a good track record up against
Well, you put up
colonial forces.
you put up the mountain division of the Germans up against the Canadian Rangers right now, and I've got a feeling that the Canadian Rangers aren't going to win
Why do you say that?
because they're
Ticker
not
talk
real
a bloody
soldiers.
gooder.
And they rare.
So
the
if
Canadian
you,
Rangers.
okay, so
wear-
let's put soldiers up against not soldiers, and I'll bet the soldiers will win at being soldiers.
That's right.
Fuck me.
Well, the Canadians also wear red,
Yeah, they stick out like a thumb.
and they use a ticker.
Yeah, it's
But you were going to say, oh, geez, I don't know, the Germans don't have a real good track record against people in the snow. They did fucking pretty well.
they didn't do that well in fucking France in the Second World War. The Canadians flogged fuck out of them several times.
Did they have tickers?
No, they had number 4.
They had number 4s up against German fucking MP40s and
No, they
fucking
did. The Germans had Mausers.
and MP40s and fucking
Oh, and I'm pretty certain.
and the Canadians
And
had
and the MP44s.
I'm pretty
and-
certain the Canadians didn't have anything that shot more than one.
No, they had the glorious bloody
Yeah,
Sten.
Ross rifle.
No,
They
the
had Sten guns and number 4s.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
And they also had, what else did they have? Oh, that's right, other troops
yeah.
with better shit.
The Canadians held down a good section of the front, though,
Yeah, they didn't do
against
that.
the Germans.
Yeah,
pretty well.
Well, they were taking on like the Hungarian Germans, not the real
The
Germans.
Canadians went through bloody Holland and Belgium
Yeah,
and cleaned them up there. Yeah, they had a lot of troops.
flog the
so-
fuck out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did pretty well. Anyone who's played COD knows they did really well. COD number 3, I think it was. You know, flog fuck out.
Well,
of
that's
them.
because everybody then gets shot 3 times and you just hide behind a rock and then you're fixed in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. You
Yeah.
just wait for the
Winning.
blood to drain out of your eyes, and then you're back to good.
Oh, Nathan said, what about untrained militia with semis versus well-trained troops with bolt actions?
Well, George
Oh.
proved that when he came to Australia. He flogged them. The guys were using SLRs, and he.
That's a good question, actually. That's not a bad question. I'm going to go with...
Look in Afghanistan. There's plenty of
Talk about the Veloce approval. There you go.
Oh, yeah. There you go. So, as you guys know, recently we've been pushing the Verney Carron Veloce shotgun. It's a 12-gauge shotgun. It's very similar to the Speedline, so it's got the lever release on the side, 5-round tube front magazine. Very, very nice wood. We were waiting. We had the first 3 come through, and they have now been approved. So, the police obviously like them, which we were never afraid of.
We're down to 5% battery, so I'll have to start wrapping up soon.
I'm never afraid of it, but people were worried that they weren't going to get through. Well, now they have. So if you want one, come down, hit me up. About $3,500 will get you one, and Yeah, let me know.
We're taking orders because there's just not enough coming into Australia. It's the only way to get one of those to go on the list.
Yeah.
The first guys who actually did you a favour, they put their money down and then waited.
Yeah.
To get, so we needed that first. Needed those first people to jump in.
And funnily enough, they were also the first guys for the speed lines too.
Yeah, yeah.
So, same guys, you know, put their money on the line for the speed line and the Veloce, and now you guys get to reap the benefits of that.
Yeah,
so,
I think the firearms industry or members need to owe them a carton of piss or something.
Yeah, what do you reckon, Dirk?
We reckon we should put out a fucking
get your carton and piss
like
to that, mate? You let me know.
Salvation tin or something, rattle at one of the shoots for a carton of
Because
piss.
they were game enough to put an application.
On
in
the
and
plus
see what-
side, guys, it won't cost you a lot because I'm pretty certain these boys would be happy with export. So let me know if that's any other way, Dirk. Just let me know, mate.
Just a litre of metho and some orange juice.
That's it. Carton of Winnie Reds.
Yeah.
Be laughing. Be laughing.
All right, something else I wanted to talk about tonight, but I'm not. I'll just touch on it briefly, and I'll talk about it next week when I've got some battery. Is there was a chart put up in one of the shooting manuals, I can't remember what it was, and it was in relation to diameter and twist length, twist rate, and bullet weights that it would shoot. Now, I just want to stress that bullet weight isn't correlated with twist rate, yeah? So the twist rate is required to keep the bullet stable. That correlates with bullet length, not weight. Okay, so some people were chucking in questions like, oh, but how come my gun could shoot this 60 grain pill, but it can't shoot this other 60 grain pill? Well, because one will be longer than the other. And that's what's important when it comes down to twist rate, is how long the projectile is. Now, yes, I know projectiles of the same weight, of the same diameter, the heavier they are, generally the longer they are. But there's a lot of other things that come into it too. Like I've already said, bow tail, but also eye-guide length and mid-body length and
solid brass.
Yeah, whether it's solid brass, what the material they're made out of, whether they've got a plastic tip or a soft point or a hollow point, it changes the overall length. So